All right, well, I'm on the phone with head football coach Mark Shields, and coach, just a devastating loss on Saturday night, November 11th to MCI. Quite honestly, I thought we'd be doing another week of coaches shows, but it's not meant to be, and certainly hats off to MCI for playing a great game and their coaching staff for developing a great strategy. I know the loss is going to hurt, and how are you feeling a couple days after fact?
Yeah, not good, to put it honestly. Everybody's pretty devastated, you're right. You have high hopes for the season, and you have certain goals for the season, and, there was no question that we thought we had a team that could at least get to a state championship game and possibly win one this year for the first time in school history. And, that was kind of the dream. And, and then to get to the Northern Maine Regional Final. And, we got outplayed. I feel as though I got outcoached. I mean, MCI had a great scheme against us, and, just a lot of disappointment. I mean, hats off to MCI. I mean, they were a team that they got hot at the right time. I mean, they go and beat Nokomis at Nokomis. They go and beat Winslow at Winslow, and then they come down here and beat us. And who knows? They might go and beat Cape Elizabeth in the state championship this Friday night. But, they're a team that they just kept getting better week by week. And, the fear was that we had beaten them so badly earlier in the season that many people, and my fear that our players felt this way, and I don't think they did, but the fear was that, we would think that this was going to be, an easy victory. And after looking at tape, my staff and I, throughout the week, we knew that it wasn't going to be. We knew that it was going to be a real tough game, and they would come down, and there's a lot of pride down there, all the championships they've won, and, they were embarrassed on their home field against us week 5, I think it was, and, they were going to come down here, and they're going to prove something, and they did. They came down here, and they were clearly the better team that night. And that's how it goes in the playoffs. It has to happen that night, and unfortunately, it just didn't for us for multiple reasons. You always second guess certain things that maybe you did, during the week, during the game. But the bottom line is, if you were a spectator and you didn't know either team, you would have looked at that game and said, MCI was clearly the better team, because they definitely looked like it that night. And, and our guys are, they're devastated. We're all devastated, and, and it's just one of those things that it's part of the athletics. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it is just a game, and, life will go on. It doesn't feel that way,
No.
Days after, for sure. And it's been tough. Yesterday was a long day for all of us, and today here at school it's tough here. Just a lot of disappointment. But I told the kids after the game, eventually they'll be able to look back upon these last few years and know that they did something really special, and they did. That they have been one of the top teams in the state for the last 3 or 4 years. And, once again this year they got the #1 ranking, and they got all the way to the Northern Maine Championship. And, it didn't happen that night for us, but they have nothing to be ashamed of, and they should be very proud of what they've accomplished. And I'm super proud of them. The entire coaching staff is proud of them. And, I told them, like I always tell them, that the most important thing on the field tonight was never going to be that scoreboard. And, I'll have a hard time getting through this.
Yeah. I wrote on Saturday, I'll give you a second here, but as I was driving home, I said, congratulations on a great season. The final game didn't end the way we wanted, but hold your heads high. You fought hard, represented yourselves, family, school, and community with class, pride, and dignity. And they did. I mean, and that's, the end of the season just sucks. And, my mother always told me the only time you're supposed to use the word suck is when you refer to vacuum. But it does. It sucks. Yeah. And it all comes crashing down. Only one team's going to walk off that field, the winner. And unfortunately, it wasn't MDI that night.
Yep. And you're absolutely right. Every season, if you don't win the state championship, and we didn't, you're right. It ends so abruptly, and it did Saturday night. We thought we'd be getting ready for a state championship today, and here I am, starting to clean uniforms and get ready for banquets and that sort of stuff. And it's definitely hard, but once again, you have to keep things in perspective. I mean, there's a lot worse that's going to happen or can happen to people throughout their lifetime than losing a football game, and that's the fact of the matter. And
but it doesn't ease the pain.
No, and I was trying to get through here earlier. I told them that the most important thing wouldn't be the scoreboard. It would be them, and this coaching staff truly believes that. It's the relationships that you build with these kids that are the most important thing. And any advice I could give to a fellow coach or maybe a young coach starting out, and I made this mistake early on that when I first took over as head coach, I really cared about the scoreboard a lot, and and the relationships were sort of secondary to that. And once I discovered that the relationships were so much more important than that scoreboard, once you know it, we're starting to win a lot of football games, and that's just how that's my belief in coaching and at all levels, that if you build that relationship with that kid and that kid knows that you care and love them, you'd be surprised what that kid's going to do for you. And these kids, they believe that, and they know that this coaching staff cares about them, loves them, and we will, for the rest of their lives. It's going to be more than just this season. It will be, a lifetime relationship, and that sort of stuff is what keeps me going and the rest of the coaching staff going.
Not to make an excuse, but how cold was it on the field? It was brutally cold in the booth, and I mean, I'm not moving around, but my teeth were chattering by the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was cold for sure. I would say it was very similar to last year versus Winslow. I don't think it was any reason why we didn't play particularly well that night. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I know MCI had a good scheme against us defensively, and they threw some different stuff at us offensively that we had never seen. But I can't really pinpoint why it didn't happen that night. We just know that it didn't.
Right.
And, it's just one of those things you sort of got to live with. I mean, I look back, I was telling my staff yesterday that, there are 3 games in my lifetime that will probably haunt me, and one was my senior year. The same exact thing happened when I played for Skowhegan. We were undefeated, and we went and played Lawrence in the Eastern Maine Championship, who we'd beaten 28-0 regular season, and we lost to them 14-12. And then 2008, you were with me then, when I thought we outplayed a really good Morse team that day, and we lost to them 10-7. And now this game here, I felt as though we were the better team on paper for sure, but it just didn't happen that night. And as a coach, and player, those things do sort of live with you, but they don't, they don't destroy lives.
Yeah, they don't define you.
Exactly, and what will define me and my coaches are those relationships that we've built with these kids, and that's what we all got to remember and take away from seasons like this.
What I remember about last year and the pain from the Wells game was the feeling of redemption when they beat Wells in basketball for the state final. And I hope the kids from this year are able to build upon the pain and channel it into whether it's basketball or track or swimming or whatever. But you gotta build on it and then move on. Otherwise, it consumes you.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And that's what we don't want, is for this to consume anybody, and to know, once again, it's still just a game, and our lives will continue, and hopefully we all lead healthy and productive lives. And yeah, I mean, athletics in general, if anybody's ever been involved in athletics, you're absolutely right. I mean, it does make you stronger, and I know for me personally, in my lifetime, I've gone through some tough times, and looking back on my athletic career helps me persevere through some of those tough times. And, it just teaches you so much that, we all know. And a big part of it is learning to deal with failure and to know that you can deal with failure in a positive way and still move on in a healthy way. And I think our guys understand that.
Oh, 40 years ago, I remember fouling out of my last high school basketball game. And I still remember thinking that it wasn't a foul, but nevertheless, that's 40 years. It's lived with me for that long. I know you want to thank a lot of people. The community support has just been outstanding this year. First of all, let me give credit to and I don't know who organized it, but I found out that the football team prepared food for the band as they had played that afternoon into the woods, and then were coming out to play in weather that made a lot of instruments freeze up. But kudos to whoever organized that to provide food for the pep band.
Yeah, wow. No, I didn't know that. I did see some food in the cafeteria before the game. I wondered what that was, so that's what that was for. So that's awesome. Yeah, I know I'm going to forget somebody, so please, if I do, know that we truly appreciate everything that people do for us in the program. And, I'll start with our fans, of course. Our fans have been just awesome since I've been head coach, and, right through the game the other night, people stuck it out and cheered us on, and, people could see that it probably wasn't going to happen, but, many people stuck around to the end and cheered on the boys, and, it's just been great, the support that we've gotten. Our cheerleaders, that's a thankless job sometimes. They do a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, the banners and the stuff on the poles, during football and basketball seasons that you see when you go in the championships, and, all the long nights and on the buses and all that stuff. And they a lot of times don't get a lot of credit for that. So I really want to give a shout out to our cheerleaders and thank them for everything that they've done and their coach. Thank our parents, and I won't try to name parents because I know I'll forget somebody, but I will mention Aaron Ritter has been instrumental in helping organize all our team dinners and a lot of the functions that happen for us. He emailed me today, checking on me and wondering about the banquet and that sort of stuff. So we just have an awesome group of parents that support us and have done so much for us. And where we were the number one seed, we've had a lot of home games. And we have these amazing team dinners every Thursday night that our parents put on, and it's been fabulous. So thank you so much. The Ives family, we'll thank them again. They're the ones that drop off the cookies after each game, and they have a name of all the players on the bag, and it's just been a fun tradition that's been going on now for quite some time, and can't thank them enough. I want to thank the Islander. They do a great job covering us and super supportive and, promoting athletics here at the high school, and has been great. And of course, WDEA and Chris Popper, he's one of those guys. I don't know when he sleeps, but you do so much for so many people, and, we really do just appreciate everything you do. And I know you live and die with every play as well, and you can hear that in your broadcast, and I just can't thank you enough. Just a great person, and a great person to promote athletics here at the high school. And want to thank Jack Merrill, does my stats. Jack's been with me, I think, since I've been head coach, and he follows the team around for no pay. He just likes to do it, so I can't thank him enough. The administration, of course. Mark Gauss has been super supportive, our new superintendent, and of course Matt Haney and Ian Broncos is on the staff. But Bunky Dow specifically, Bunky rarely ever says no to me. And right from day one when I took over back in 2003 as a head coach, whatever I need, he gets me. And he's been a great, role model for me. He's been a great guy that if I'm dealing with something, I can talk to him, and he gives awesome advice. And he's just awesome for MDI athletics. He loves it, and can't thank him enough. And of course, my coaching staff: Mark Arnold, Tony DeMiro, Chris McGuire, and Ian Braun. I've always said that the head coach gets too much credit or too much blame, and I've been getting way too much credit the last few years. Those guys do so much behind the scenes, and just awesome guys. They're just awesome people. One thing I'm going to miss the most, we have Sunday morning meetings. We meet at 6 a.m. every Sunday morning as a staff, and Mark Arnold brings the McGriddles in, and Ian Braun brings the donuts, and just that time together is so special. And and those guys care so much about kids here at the high school. They're just awesome people and awesome coaches, and I can't thank them enough. And of course, the players, they're the ones that make it all happen for us. And once again, I couldn't ask for any more. This coaching staff couldn't ask for any more from our players. They gave everything they had, right from summertime workouts to preseason. August 14th, we're out there and it's super hot, and we're doing stations, and guys are they're in pretty bad shape at times during stations, and and they keep going, and they just give and give and give. And I told them the day before the game that us as coaches need them a heck of a lot more than they need us, and I truly believe that. Those, like I talked about before, the relationship with those kids is so much more important. And I'm just so proud to say that I'm their coach. They're just special people to me and our staff, so I can't thank them enough. And then lastly, I'll thank my wife and my family. Holly, she puts up with a lot. It's a lot of time away from my home, and my kids, my Maddie, she's in college now, so I don't see her as much, and Delaney and Jacob, they're still home with us, and Dad's gone a lot, but they want me here, coaching football, and they told me, this is where I need to be, and I really appreciate that and all their supports, and I love them very much. So.
All right. Well, Coach, I want to thank you for the time that you spent with us. I mean, the fact that you give up 2 prep periods a week to be able to come on with us on Mondays and Fridays, and I mean the access that you and the other coaches at MDI High School and Ellsworth High School allow me is really unprecedented. I mean, I don't know anybody that shares as much, and we spend all season long together. I mean, it kind of feels like I'm part of the team, and I thank you for that. And it's been a great season. Unfortunately, as we said, it didn't end the way we wanted. But, I'm honored to be your friend. I'm honored to have broadcast all these games for these kids, and the community who just comes up and says, "Oh my gosh, we love the broadcast. We thank you for broadcasting the games." And we couldn't do it without our advertisers, and look forward to doing it with you next year and many, many more years to come. And we'll be ready for basketball around the corner.
Yeah, I would, definitely, my response to that is that the relationship we've had has been tremendous. Like I said before, everything you do for athletics here at the high school, I mean, it's just been phenomenal, Chris. So we just can't thank you and WDEA enough, and you're definitely part of the team. I mean, we've been together, I think, now since 2006 doing this, and, it's a big part of the program. A lot of people, they're asking, when is the coaches show coming out? And, are you going to live stream stuff, or is it going to be on the radio tonight? What have you? And, it's just been huge for the promotion of our program, and we just can't thank you enough.
And someday we'll do an outtake of what we really talk about before and afterwards.
Yeah, and then you and I will be out of jobs,
yeah,
probably.
There we go. All right, Coach. Thanks very much.
All right, thanks, Chris. All right, thanks, Chris.